All right, how about we go ahead and get started? I think we're at that time, and I would love to get as much sites visible as possible. I don't know how many we're going to get through, but we're going to do our best. You can probably expect us to spend maybe 10 minutes or so per site. So if you're just now arriving and have not already done so, please go ahead and add your URL to the chat box so we can take a look at it. So here is a quick look at our agenda for today. This session is being recorded, and so assuming everything works out, I will be able to share the video maybe today or tomorrow, but you will hopefully get the recording. I want to make sure, like I said, to get as many sites going as possible, so I'm going to keep this moving along if we can. First, a quick shout out to our sponsors. Jason LD for SEO transforms your SEO with rich results, a program that allows you to show search enhancements such as review stars, price, and availability in Google Search, Bing, Pinterest, and other search engines. And then, of course, we all know Shopify is more than just an e-commerce solution. You can sell anywhere to anyone with Shopify's e-commerce platform and point of sale features. I'll share links for those who maybe don't know anything about it in case you want to take a look at them. So I have a couple of upcoming events that are planned in the next couple of months. I don't have exact dates yet, but we will be taking a look at post-purchase, and we will be taking a look at increasing your organic traffic with search enhancements. So both of those are hopefully coming up. I don't know the dates yet, but keep an eye out for those to be posted soon. And if you do have topics that you want us to cover, I always send a follow-up email after the event asking for your feedback. Please let me know what you want to see. It makes it really easier for us to be able to know where you want us to be, what areas you want us to talk about, where do you want us to spend time on. So definitely give us the feedback also to make sure that we're doing something that you like, but make sure that we're providing valuable resources to you. Kai, why don't you go ahead and start off first introducing yourself?
Absolutely. So thanks so much for having me, Ilana. My name's Kai Davis. I'm a Shopify SEO and growth consultant. I work with fabulous stores on Shopify to help them figure out, hey, what exactly do we need to do to get higher rankings or get more traffic or get more sales from Google with our Shopify store. So I've worked with Shopify stores, I always forget, I think since 2013 or 2014. So 7 or 8 years. I've been involved in online marketing since 2000, 2005, way back then. So I'm just so excited to be here, take a look at your stores, share some wisdom and knowledge, and hopefully give you some advice that'll help you get unstuck and get your store moving forward like a marketing machine.
I love it. I love it. And many of you know me already, but those of you who this is your first time, I'm Ilana Davis, your host and meetup organizer. I work with e-commerce shops to remove friction from the buying process. My focus is really on rescuing Shopify websites, making them more effective and attracting visitors, providing better SEO, and increasing conversion rates, all at a fraction of a cost of a full redesign. So we're going to jump in just a second here, but before we do that, if you haven't already added your site to the chat box, please do so now so that we'll be able to take a look in just a minute. And understand, I want to have like a little heart to heart for a second. Understand that whatever feedback Kai and I give you or you hear on here, please know that it's out of love and respect for everything that you do. You have a lot going on and your stores may not be perfect, and that's fine. But just know that our goal is to provide valuable feedback on your site. So please don't take offense to anything that we might say, because it's not meant to be hurtful. It is meant to actually provide actual like critical criticism to you so that you can go and do better and hopefully succeed and increase conversions or whatever your goals might be. I started talking a little bit about this a second ago before we jumped into this, but I wanted to make sure that we shared as well that I am going to try my hardest to share sites from the mobile view, because I think that is where a lot of people often ask for feedback from, and where a lot of customers are often shopping from first, but then they might go and check out on the desktop. I understand that's different for every store. Some stores might prefer to have their desktop reviewed. If you want that, please let us know. I don't know that I can bounce back and forth super easily, but I can do my best. But I think mobile is actually really eye-opening oftentimes, because the mobile version, you don't get to see the full picture. You don't get to see all of the design elements and the layouts that you might want. And so it tends to be a little bit more confusing for the customer. And that's why it's so great to be able to review it from the mobile view. So I am going to stop sharing on my desktop and switch over to my phone in a second. But before I do that, I got to pick out our first link. I'm going to pick a random one. I'm going to pick the Conundrum House. Let's see if I can do this. Sit tight as I get it open, because I have to copy and paste it into my phone. So sit tight. Why isn't it copying? Let's try a different route. Okay, Kai, do you have it up on yours already?
I muted myself. I do have it open on my side.
Okay. All right, can you all see that?
Coming through clear for me.
Cool. All right. So let's go ahead and jump in. Also, if you have comments as we go along, I will do my best to take a look at it. I know Kai will also in the chat box, but if we don't respond to them, just know that it's hard for us to balance both things at one time. So bear with us if we don't respond to your questions. So we just landed on this page, and frankly, I'm a little bit confused already.
Yeah, I am too. I guess what confuses you? Where's your eye getting caught?
So, well, first of all, I feel like I'm looking at a business letterhead. I think that's the right, letterhead, right? So that's the first thing that catches me. The second thing that catches me is that the text on the image, the new products and group events, is so big that I can't really even tell what I'm looking at. So naturally, what I want to do is back up. That's what I want to be like.
Google. Back up, like lean away from the screen, or back up, like hit the back button and
no, like lean away. Like I feel like I'm zoomed in and I don't know what to do, and I want to back up. But I think first of all, like that, the letterhead on top is what confuses me, and I can't read it.
Yeah, and like so I see the letterhead, the top left, their logo. You're right. The Conundrum House image also looks like letterhead, and like the text in that image is impossible to read. Then we get into the new products and group events to play all year long, and it's a bit too large. Like on your screen share right now, we can see new products and group events, and then it's covered by all the little widgets. I scroll down, like I personally love the content here. I love games. I love toys. Like I'd be a ravenous customer. But from this first experience, it is so hard to understand, like, where are we? What's happening? What's going on? What products am I buying? So if all I could see was what's on the screen right now, the sort of like top part, I'd say, hey, the most valuable things you could do, strip out that Conundrum House image, shrink down the fonts on this headline, get rid of these tiny widgets. We don't need the cart widget. We don't need the chat widget this early. We don't need subscribe now. We don't need purchased recently. We'll clear up so much space, and suddenly we'll actually be able to see the text here instead of getting these weird feelings of like, where am I? What's going on?
Yeah. And then there's also, it looks like 3 different pop-ups that's happening at the bottom.
So many pop-ups.
I'm a little bit, I don't know what, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
So there's a lot happening, and I can't dismiss any of them. And so I actually can't even see what those pop-ups are. And I think we will probably run into this a lot down, like throughout all of these sites, where pop-ups on mobile, because they all tend to gravitate towards the bottom, make it really challenging for you to see anything. So make sure that if you have any pop-ups at the bottom, that you have the ability to close them, we need to make sure that we can close them. So there should be an X or something like that to make them go away. If you are going to have a pop-up, that is the best thing for you to do, is to make sure people can close them. I have a couple of questions. If you've just joined us, please do put your link in the chat box. That's how we're going to take a look at them. Okay, so I actually haven't been able to read all of the content. So Kai, why don't you talk a little bit about what you're seeing in the text itself? Like, what do you think about that?
I I like the text decently well. So if we talk about like above the fold, the new products and the we ordered early, what I like here is we're doing a good job of hitting like some relevant keywords for search traffic or just for folks browsing through the site. Gotten in new games and toys, high quality puzzle and toy manufacturers around the world. If I'm like, hey, I want to buy myself a puzzle, it's Wednesday, we're 2 weeks into the year already, I need a treat, I'll be thinking, okay, I found what I'm looking for. But as we continue to scroll down, like I just keep seeing things that catch my eye in a bad way. As we get a little lower on the page, we get into like here in our online store, you will find our curated collection of board games, manipulatives. And like, I like the text here a ton. We're hitting on the right things. We're indicating, oh, hey, we've got Spy Club and Clue Master Detective. These are probably links. But I keep looking at all these different colors and we've got some bolded, some not bolded, and I'm just getting confused. And then I see like Conundrum House Tabletop Games Club. It's not italicized. And now I'm thinking about like the design of the site rather than the content itself. So really, so from what we've seen so far, I think this is kind of too busy. Like, unless there's a strategic choice, our brand is busy, games are busy, toys are busy, which I could see. I could go along with that. Unless there already is a strategic choice like that, I really say pull back a bit here. You won't have to do a lot of changes to clean this up, but just a little bit of cleaning up, making this easier to read, getting rid of the colors, getting rid of all these widgets at the bottom will just make it such a better experience.
Yeah, and for me, I 100% agree with that. I think there's a lot happening with the text itself, which makes it really difficult to read. But then I'm also seeing like GIFs, and like that's what this is right here for those who don't know. GIF, however you want to call it, whatever. But I also noticed, I don't know if anyone saw it when I scrolled up originally, this button that's here, it like wiggled a little bit. Is that the technical term?
I think it is.
And that to me tells me that there's probably a lot of attempts to make it look fancier than it needs to be. So oftentimes when I see that, there's maybe added JavaScript or added CSS that gets loaded on the page, and it can slow your site down. So don't overcomplicate it. Make it simple, make it easy for people to get through the site and get from one page to the next, and then eventually check out. Like that's what we want to see here. So don't try to make it so fancy where it looks so beautiful that they can't actually use the site. The other thing that I was going to comment on, which this might be more of an aesthetic thing for me than anything else, I feel like there's this border.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it on my desktop because I had to open it up on my desktop for a quick second. And it's fine because what it is, it's like some background image, I think is what they're doing. But on here, it almost feels like there's an image that's back there that I should be able to see and I can't. So I don't really know what to do with it. And something that you said, Kai, that I really thought was interesting, and I wanted to kind of dig into a little bit more, is with removing all of this extra color and not color, don't like remove your personality, but like you don't need the color behind your words. White space tends to add this level of like illicit, or not illicit, but what's the word I'm looking for? Where it's like your higher level, your
Premium.
like, what's that?
I always think of it kind of like not premium, but sort of like premium. Like when
Yeah.
I see a brand and a website where it's like, oh, we have white space here, we're not afraid of space. It definitely feels almost like Apple-esque. Here's the thing:
Yeah.
I don't need to clutter it up with more text, more images, more stuff.
Yeah.
Here is the thing: do you want it? Click here. If not, click there.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have found more often than not that when you have a lot of extra white space, it actually levels you up. And it can set you apart from some of your competitors who don't have that. And people tend to spend more money when there's more white space. So as sad as that is, that's true. I also see a question in here about, can pop-ups be turned off for mobile or tablets? That's up to the platform that you're using of whether or not they can disable that. So there should hopefully be an easy way to disable it. If not, You can turn it off on mobile with CSS. That's an option if you know how to use CSS. But I would ask your apps or the theme to make that a possibility for you. All
And
right.
if
So I
it
want
is
to keep
possible, oh,
go ahead. No,
I,
no, go
I,
ahead.
I I just wanted to share if it is possible, it often is worth doing. Like I often get complaints from my clients like, "Oh no, if we turn it off on mobile, we won't get as many conversions or opt-ins." And my response to that is always, "You might not, but the experience right now is terrible. We've got, things flashing everywhere. Turn them off, see how people engage with it over a month or 3 months, and then slowly, selectively turn one on. Not all of
Yeah.
them, just one." And then see, okay, how was the experience? How do these metrics change? It's slow, it takes time, but that's the best way to approach it.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I want to keep scrolling because I actually want to see a product page in here. So I'm just going to kind of browse through this and see. I also understand, I just wanted to, I don't know who shared this link. I actually didn't see your name. I apologize. But I also wanted to clarify that I understand that gaming websites tend to have a little bit more flair to them. And so the feedback that we're giving is it doesn't mean to get rid of all of it. It means to pick something. Pick one kind of design that you want to go with. Right now, it feels like there's conflicting designs happening on the homepage. So pick
Mhm.
something that works for you and own that brand and make it your own.
There's so much going on this homepage.
Oh,
Like,
okay. So you have a pop up. Curious. Get clued in to new arrivals in the store, live action role play event, game nights, and more. Receive exclusive offers and updates. Okay, I actually like parts of that, I think. Maybe not all
oh,
of it, but parts of it. I think the only part that I don't like is the curious.
yeah, yeah. My eye just like blanked over that and moved away. But yeah, that's really a waste of the space. And I'd
Yeah.
say subscribe is almost the same. Like,
Yeah.
there could be a much better call to action there and a much better headline. I mean, even just like curious about gaming, curious about local
Yeah.
gaming, curious about game events, and suddenly you hook me in. Instead, it's like curious. I do want a taco. Are there tacos nearby? And it just doesn't even resonate.
Yeah. Yeah. I do like choose your favorite. I think that's kind of cool because it gets people to engage in what you're not just here's my email and they move on. It does look like there's a weird spacing issue going on. So not sure what's happening there. The other thing I was going to say is that typically red with this white is not super accessible when you're talking about like the ability to read in that contrast. So although it's common to see it, usually with the red, you're going to want a bolder white, or just don't do red as your background. That's really what I would recommend is don't do red as a background when you have white text, just to
Uh,
make sure that
whenever I
you are accessible. Sorry.
whenever I see red button or red background, I always think, oh, I clicked something wrong. This is a
Yes.
warning message or a warning button. And that just doesn't inspire me to like submit or buy or take an action.
Yeah, and what I did originally, when this first popped up is I backed up. I was like, "Oh no, okay. It's a pop-up. We're good."
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, I'm seeing really great feedback coming from Megan. Get clued in could become the headline instead of curious. I love that headline. So as we're going through this, definitely keep checking the comments, folks, because people are definitely giving some good feedback in here as well. Okay, I'm gonna close this. I really want to get to a product page. Map. Okay. So you have the map. Oh, you do. Okay, Corvallis, Oregon. I was going to say, hopefully you have where you're located, but you do. So thanks. Not everyone does that. Okay.
Down here it gets confusing to me. We had the pop-up to join the mailing list.
Yeah.
We have joining our mailing list, why subscribe, which I don't really agree with the phrasing there. And then below it, we have add a little mystery to your life, join our newsletter.
Oh
And
yeah.
suddenly I'm just confused. Like, okay, which one? One has email, one has email and name. I get why this might have happened. You add it to the homepage and you have it in the footer, and suddenly on mobile it looks like, oh, there's two. But this is really something I recommend just checking in regularly on your store, even if it's just like, hey, once a month for 20 minutes, I buy myself a beer, I pull out my phone, and I just click through my site. And I look through for weird stuff or stuff that I'm like, why is that there? You're going to find stuff and slowly you're going to improve stuff, whether it's stuff like this or other stuff, just in a small amount of time, 20 or 30 minutes a month. You can make so much forward improvement on your site and the experience of using your site.
Yeah, and I was just in a mode. I was just scrolling. And I think that's what people would have done at that point after seeing so many boxes. They would have just kept going, assuming that they didn't have to worry about anything.
Hmm.
All right, let's go back up because I want to pick a random. Oh, okay. So I should have clicked on menu a while ago. I do not love having a navigation menu that is cluttered with non-shop related links.
Yeah.
There is an exception. You do actually have an in-person store, so I can see value in having the like visit us or the game store on here, the events, that's fine too. But your about can go to the bottom. You don't need that in your navigation menu. I would definitely move that down.
Yeah, I fully agree. I think the one thing I'm catching here is the site really doesn't even have a footer menu. And what I'll often recommend, just as like an easy quick fix for situations like this, is let's yank 50% of what's in this top level menu that doesn't get traffic or doesn't get clicked on, and let's just stash it down in the footer. If folks
Yeah.
complain, that's a signal, oh, that maybe that should be in the top nav. If nobody complains, great. It's cleaned up, it's easier to use, and we still have those links across the site if people are searching for about or our COVID policy or, group rental policy. So much easier for folks and so much easier for somebody who just lands here and is like, I want a game. And they click once and they're confused at all the options.
Yeah. There's a question in here about location. I wanted to address it because in this particular case, there is actually a location. You do want people to come to your store. So that's really important. We definitely don't want to hide that. If you actually have a brick and mortar, we want people to come in. If you don't have an in-person site where you people can walk into your store, I still want to know where you're located at. There has been so many times where I have gone to a site and I want to buy local. I want to support my local community. And if I have a choice between buying from the UK or buying from Portland, Oregon, I'm going to pick Portland, Oregon. So in your about or in the footer, hopefully in your footer, you should have a general location of where you are. You don't have to have the exact address, but a city and state is sufficient enough. Okay. Um, So the game store confused me. I kind of took a guess and assumed that was the products, but I didn't know for sure. So what I would actually recommend is breaking out your games a little bit differently and having maybe three or four high level categories of what your products kind of fall into: puzzles, um, tabletop games, one on one, like one player or something, like maybe it's like small, so I don't know what that leveling looks like, but you can decide what it is. And then let people dig in that way so that you actually don't even have your game store as the main drop down. That could go away.
Yeah, I can imagine like some sort of clustering or like bucketing where like maybe they do have something that's like collections or all types of stuff. And then we get this collection list. But I'd love to see something that's, a product, you call it a mega menu, just like a big cluster of
Yeah.
things where it's like, okay, here are three best sellers. Looking for a card game, we recommend this. Looking for some Magic the Gathering boosters, look over here. Just maybe it's your top five best selling products. But, I'll again use myself as the example. I land here, I'm like, oh, I want to buy something. I don't want to search through everything. I want you to
Yes.
say, this is our favorite. People love it. You will love it. Buy it now. And
Yeah.
then I will go buy it.
Yeah. And I'm looking at this and I'm thinking like you could easily do puzzles, you could easily do party games, and you can have graphic novels and then all games or something like that, and then it kind of breaks down. Like I don't know what that actual like breakdown looks like for you, but think about like kind of like what Kai said. Look at your collections. Where do people spend most of the time? What are your most popular products? That's what people are going to be looking for. So try to find a way uh to I guess create these like main categories based on how your customers shop. Okay, so I'm going to pick a product. I don't know if I want to do puzzle or what. Kai, let's talk about
I
this collection.
Oh my God. Oh, my heart just skipped 3 beats. Okay, so for folks who don't know, I have become lovingly obsessed with the value of collection descriptions in Shopify. Over the last year, I've just seen it as being a huge impact area for stores that are asking the question of how do we get more traffic to our collection pages or traffic overall? The answer is usually add some collection descriptions to your store. So what we're seeing here is Conundrum House's collection description for which collection is this?
This is puzzles.
Excellent
Yeah,
for
Professor
Professor
Puzzle.
Puzzle. I mean, this is great. Like the value in a collection description is it helps your visitors who land here know what this collection is about. Is Professor Puzzle like a cool name? Is this a brand? Here we're able to learn more about, oh, Professor Puzzle is the world's most innovative designer and manufacturer of games and puzzles and more additional information. So I really like what I'm seeing here. One quick optimization that comes to mind is just like we talked about with the products in the menu, I'd love to see a little curation. I think there are 7 or so products in this collection, but even just adding a little bit that says, hey, you're looking at Professor Puzzle. Our customer's favorite Professor Puzzle product is Secrets of Emerald Hill. Click the link right here and you'll go to it. Suddenly, when somebody's just reading through the top, they're able to say, oh, this is the one I most likely want. It's the most popular, it's the favorite. And then when Google comes and looks at this collection, they'll say, oh, there's a link up here for one. That must be really relevant and that will influence your ranking. So, for folks that might have thought about adding collection descriptions to their store, I think it's worth it. You want some content, you want 1 or 2 links. And for Conundrum House, I love what you're doing here. This is great. Just add in, that 1 or 2 links to a curated selection of recommended products in that collection, and you'll be scoring 10 out of 10. I'll be using you as an example.
I will add, though, that the content itself feels a little bit lacking. So I don't know if you had a chance to read through it, Kai. It feels like it's a general, we believe in good puzzles. Like it doesn't feel like it's specific to this particular collection. So although I absolutely agree with Kai, I would love to see this be a little bit more targeted towards the specific collection that we're looking at, as opposed to generalizations.
Yeah, now as I read through it, I see like they basically grabbed this from Professor Puzzle's website. So, I mean, as a way just to level this up, sit down
Yeah.
with one of your customers who has bought a bunch of Professor Puzzle and be like, hey, we'll give you a $50 gift card. Just tell us what you love about Professor Puzzle products and use that just as like the seed of the content here. What do they call out? What do they share? What do they love? Mention that here and you're golden.
Yeah. All right, let's get into your product because I want to keep moving on here. All right. So love that we have images up front, which I would expect. Totally fine. Matchbox puzzles. We've got shop pay installments. We've got a drop down. Lots of options here. So I'm going to assume that if I was to click on these, it would show me different results in the image, or that it changes, like there's a description below this that tells me what each of these things are. So I'm going to assume that.
Jan just asked if I could answer
Yeah.
a question from the chat quickly. Jan asked, could adding a collection description push down the products in the view, discouraging clients from clicking through to products, especially on mobile? I don't think that's a crazy concern. I haven't experienced that myself firsthand, but honestly, I'd say this is a wonderful thing to test. Take that high traffic collection, add a collection description in, sort of freeze it, don't make other changes, then just watch it over a month. Do folks, continue moving forward? Do they click on stuff? Do they not? Using this database test will let you know, oh, we added it and turns out folks aren't clicking, or, oh, hey, we added it and more folks are clicking.
Yeah. And Mo makes a good point too, where he feels like it's really long. And I think that's another thing that you can be testing out is what the size of your content. So in this case, Jan, it takes up my whole page, right? So I absolutely have to scroll down and then I have to make the choice as the person who's viewing it. Do I want to sit here and read it? I will say, you guys see this on the big screen. I'm looking at it on my phone and it looks pretty tiny. So the font size is really small. It's probably a 12 pixel, maybe a 14 pixel. Font sizing should be 16 pixels. And so if that helps you and you say, I want it to be 16 pixel font size, but I don't want to take up the full screen, that then kind of helps you to create a certain size collection description that maybe fits so that it's half of a mobile screen. And then you could see products underneath it. That might be a good way to sort of meet in the middle. Okay, come back to this. So I do see that as we click through different images, there are different photos. So I would assume then that you have that enabled in your theme, which is good. All right, so we've got a product description in here. So this doesn't really tell me what the difference is between each of the puzzles.
Yeah.
But the pictures describe it. Let me tell you my problem with that. If I'm visually impaired, how do I know what's in each of the different options? Sort of a rhetorical question because you can't. Assuming you have alt text, at least you have something on there. If I'm a visually impaired customer, at least then I'll be able to see the alt text of what's described in the photo. But I would absolutely recommend that you expand your product description and include each of the puzzles and a little brief description about what it is and how it works.
Yeah, I love that. And from the like, I 1000% agree on the accessibility perspective. Like, it's a huge loss there. And from the SEO perspective, there's also a loss. Like, if somebody is Googling, perplexing puzzles, Professor Puzzle, I'm looking for the name, and maybe like the claws, they're searching for one specific product that's contained here and is in a dropdown, but isn't in the product description. So, exactly to your point, like, I'm envisioning just a bulleted list. And maybe like at the start, it's like product name in bold, and then a sentence, 2 sentences saying like, this is why it's cool. Claws, figure it out, arrange it into a T shape, whatever. But that tiny bit of content solves the accessibility side and improves the SEO side.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. Anything else on this one, Kai, or can we move on to another one because we spent a ton of time on it?
Isa, let's get a new one in front of us as tribute.
All right, as tribute. Why is it not copying for me? It's being weird. Sorry, guys. There we go. All right, so next we're going to look at Aunt Ethel's. Oh my gosh, I'm so hungry already.
Same. I love this site. I love this site so much. Okay, so I loaded this and I immediately went, oh my gosh, this looks amazing. Like, this is a really nice design. For a second, I was like, they can't be using Shopify here. And I clicked around and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're on Shopify. So my first impression was like, this looks delicious and wonderful. And I hope you brought samples. Thank you.
Yeah. I really want to try this right now. And I will say that on desktop, y'all can't see it, but on desktop, they have a little footer that is kind of scrolling automatically, and it's showing different vegetables. Not a footer, but like it's a static or sticky at the bottom of the screen on the above the fold. So it's cool because they have this added flair to it on the homepage, but it doesn't impact the mobile, which is where you often get hit with speed information or speed issues. So I wanted to say great job on not implementing everything that is also on the desktop to your mobile. But this looks delicious. I really want to eat it. And it makes me want to scroll down. I want to learn more for sure.
Yeah, agreed. Like, it just feels like, oh, this is intriguing. Scroll.
Yeah. Okay. How does this work? Oh, this is so, I like this. I feel like it's a little slow to load. Yeah. But I love this because it's super easy. You can have this delicious pie, easy as 1, 2, 3, easy as pie. Sorry, I had to. I'm sorry.
Shop our delicious line of healthy.
So I just wanted to add to, going back to the alt text, I'm really hoping that these images that you have here also have alt text, because you're using images to describe this instead of text. So I'm really hoping that these have alt text in there as well. And aside from the fact that people will tell me, I don't have blind users. Yes, you do. But aside from that, if for whatever reason your images break or something happens and they don't load, at least then you'll still have content on your page. That's the benefit of adding alt text to your images, is that when the image can't load, the text that's in the alt text will be there instead. I agree. Shop our delicious line. Clearly it's delicious. I've never tried it and it looks so good.
We are brand evangelists now. Welcome to this webinar on Aunt Ethel's.
Okay, roasted chicken pot pie. Here is one issue that I'm gonna like be a stickler on this alt text. This is one issue where I don't know that you need to have all your text in the image.
Oh, great.
This whole thing is an image, I think.
Yeah, it is.
And I can tell because it's a little blurry. The text is blurry. So what I would have loved to have seen here instead is having an image with your product image, And then underneath that, an actual line of text that says roasted chicken pot pie. And then underneath that, an actual line of text that has the description of what it is.
Yeah, it looks like, at least my mind goes to, this is like a product mock-up for maybe advertising,
Yeah.
maybe marketing, and they include it here, which is fine. But exactly to your point, like if they did another version of this where like the container itself didn't have anything on it, we didn't have the tiny text in the left and the right. Really, the only text and image we had here was like the Aunt Ethel's roasted chicken and Aunt Ethel's image at the top, just as that like brand image, and nothing else on the container, nothing else on the packaging, everything else in the text below the image. It would definitely
Yeah.
be a lot cleaner and address the accessibility issues, and just, I think, be a little less distracting. Since I don't need to spend my time reading the micro text on the image, I need to click shop and go buy a roasted chicken pot pie.
Exactly. Exactly. All right. I just want to keep scrolling. And some people will tell me that like they want certain design elements for their headings and their text and their buttons. All of that can be done in CSS. So don't feel like you can't do that sort of thing.
I got issues with what's on the screen right
Okay,
now.
can I just say I can't read it on my phone? I
I
can't.
can't read it on my desktop.
I have to go this way for me to be able to read it. And then
Oh,
I'm like going back and forth.
yeah, the first thing that concerns me is like the us versus other pot pies isn't centered, but all the other headings are. So that's just like a whoa, what's up? But then yeah, we have, okay, I like that we have table data. I like that we're
Yes.
comparing Aunt Ethel's versus them. I like that it's basically saying like, hey, remember that, crappy chicken pot pie? Well, let's tell you how ours is delicious. But this is an image. Like it's not even an
Yeah.
actual table. Google can't crawl it. We can't access it on mobile. It's super tiny. Like honestly, I think this is 95% there. You just need to turn this into an actual HTML table so, screen readers can access it, Google can access it. You could use CSS to have this look identical or even better than the image,
Yep.
more easy to update. And then you're done. And you won't have Kai telling you, hey, this image is terrible.
Yeah. And I wanted to hone in on something that Kai just said about the SEO benefits of putting text on your page instead of using images. And we sort of talked about this before. Google looks at this image and they might be able to recognize some of the content, but they're not going to be able to pull out the search terms that people are using. So if someone says, why should I buy Aunt Ethel's over the other pot pies or whatever they're typing into Google, this won't show up.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a lot of research over the last couple of days about how people get, if you've seen on the search results, how sometimes it'll have like a little bold spot in there where it has like color and then it has like a colon and then the definition of whatever the color is, purple or something like that. The way to get those items in your search results is through tables. So it's really great for adding this stuff to your text as an actual table, but make it simple. And then let CSS do all the extra work for you, the design elements. Yeah, Andy, that's exactly what it is. It's so the table is not actually a rich snippet, but it adds the value to the rich snippet. They call it something else, and there's not a ton of data to define what it actually is, but it is in fact a table, and it has nothing to do with your structured data or anything like that. Google just scrapes it and pulls it out all for you. So please use HTML. There is a block in Shopify for HTML and most themes that you should be able to add that in there. Okay. Okay, now I have an issue with carousels.
Same.
Sorry. I have an issue with carousels because I'm not going to sit here and scroll past it. And I'm not going to like do this. I'm making that happen. I'm not going to do it. And I'm not going to sit here and wait for them all to go. So pick your top 2 to 4, whatever you want to do, reviews, and put them on here. And then I'm going to click on this and it better take me to a product page. And if it doesn't, I'm going to get angry.
Oh,
Oh, I'm
I didn't even think
angry.
of that.
I'm angry. I have literally like angry clicked on my mouse before because I see this review from Hayden and I'm like, oh, I want to learn more about what Hayden said. Or I want to, hey, Hayden loved this product. What product did Hayden get? And I can't get to the product. So please have a link from these reviews. No carousels at all. No carousels at all.
Yeah,
I am
it's almost become a
adamant.
trope in the web design and SEO and marketing world. Like the only people who want carousels are the executives who are like, what if we have each department in a carousel? And it never does any value.
Yeah.
Carousels are terrible.
And it's so annoying because Google is sort of all in on carousels these days, where like in search results, you'll see more carousels coming up. They're testing out a lot of different stuff. And so it bugs me that they're in there. And Shopify is all about carousels. They don't convert. Most people don't sit here and wait for them to go. And notice that I've clicked on it and now it's stopped. It doesn't keep going. There's also no way for me to pause it unless I like click on it, and that's the only way to pause it. But there's no like controls for me. So on mobile, I don't know what it is on desktop, but on mobile, it's not clear on how I would actually get through this.
Yeah, agreed completely. A couple small testimonial social proof optimizations I'd love to see there. Like, and the Sasha said in chat that they took these reviews from Google reviews, which is excellent. Like, thumbs up for me. That's a great way to source these reviews. I'd love to see a last initial. Like, it's one thing to say Hayden, it's another thing to say like Hayden S, Nick G, Rob W. It's like, oh, it's an actual person. It feels that 10% more legitimate, and suddenly folks are like, oh, it's a real person. Including a headshot is such a nice to have. If you're pulling from Google reviews, that might be possible. But if that's not, maybe include a small product headshot. If Hayden's talking about the lentil chicken pot pie, include it there. That lets them click through to the product like Ilana wanted. And suddenly it turns us into a much more persuasive block on the homepage.
Yeah. And then I see Spencer made a comment here about you could pepper these reviews into different areas of your homepage and collections. I love doing that. Let your customers speak for you. So when we're talking about coming back up here to these products, right? So instead of this lentil chili pot pie with no actual text on the page, pull a review from one of your customers and add that underneath there so that your customer is telling them for you how amazing this tastes and with the texture, and it was super easy to make. Let them sell for you. So absolutely, Spencer, I 100% agree, and I love doing it, and it works. Yeah. All right, I'm going to click on a product so we can keep moving because yeah, we're not getting through these super quickly. Sorry, y'all. I would love to see some more image. I don't know if there's something missing here. If there's supposed to be images underneath that or what.
I think it's just a CSS issue when I toggle between.
Oh, this is
Oh,
why.
I see. Tiny image, big image.
Yeah. So this is exactly why you want to have the consistent image sizing across the board. So make all of your images a 1-to-1 ratio square, or make all of them horizontal, or all of them vertical. If you can't do that, so I've had some people say that they can't adjust photos because it comes from a manufacturer or whatever, then that gets to be a little bit more complicated. And so what you've done here, or your theme has done it for you, where the image, the block around it is all the same, so it doesn't shift back and forth, is good. The reason for that is that Google will look at that and they're going to say, if I was to click through this and every time I clicked, your heading moved up and down, is what I'm talking about. Google will look at it and it's going to dock you like points or whatever for their core web vitals. And that's how you get seeing some issues popping up on some of those ratings. So the fact that you have different image sizes and they're stationary, I'm perfectly fine with, but I'd love to see them similar. All right. Pack size.
I'm curious, click on 6 and 12, Ilana. I'm curious about what you think about what happens.
Wait,
so what caught my eye? What caught my eye here is like we have the free shipping edition with 6 and 12, which I like, but it's pretty tiny there. And what really confused me was there wasn't a price discount at 12, even just a tiny one. Like, what's the difference to me between ordering 6 and 12? Nothing really. But as a customer, but as the brand owner, well, I kind of want more people to order larger orders. So maybe, a token 5% discount on like, oh, order 12, get 5% off. 1% of folks or something will order it and it will make an impact.
Yeah. And if there is, I mean, I'm not doing math in my head real quick, but like if you do have a discount, but you're not displaying that discount, I would absolutely do that, because don't make me do the math in my head. Don't make me think about, okay, what is 3? So that means they're each going to be this much. And if I buy 12, they're each going to be this much. I'm not getting a discount. So don't make me think. give me the information. So if you do have a discount on here based on the quantity ordered, tell me that up front. Make it easy for me. I'm confused about why. I'm scrolling for a second because I'm confused. Okay, so this is a super plain pop-up. I think it doesn't match with the rest of your site.
Yeah.
I'm not going to dig into this too much, but I feel like I could do better. But I'm not going to dig into it because I'm distracted by something else. Okay, so what I was looking at, the reason why I was confused is you're heating it, first of all, super tiny font. Can't read it on my phone. I have to look at my desktop. But you have all of these really important sections hidden behind the accordions.
And it actually gets a little worse when you click into heating instructions.
Oh,
So my issue with this is, okay, we have an image here, which isn't terrible, but we have so much text in the image that we run into the accessibility issue again. We're hiding this text from Google, which won't get you like a penalty, but it's always just valuable to not have the text stuck in an image, frozen in that image. Better to have it as actual text on the homepage. Honestly, like there was such a nice use of the icons and the text as they scroll down on those 1, 2, 3 on the homepage. I'd love to see something similar here for heating instructions, but pulling heating instructions out of the submenu and just having it as part of the main content. So, I'm reading about it. It has veggies, all of our pies, 3, 6, 12. Here are the instructions.
can I also just say there's not a lot of information in here. You don't even need the tabs or the accordion. Just have it all out there.
Yeah, good
I
point.
wouldn't even put it behind the accordion. The issue that I have with accordions, and I've written about this many times, one, it's not always accessible. So that's a factor. The other issue is that sometimes when these accordions are coded, they're coded in a way that Google can't see everything that's hidden behind it. And so if you do have content in here, you're missing out on getting the benefits of SEO for your descriptions. But in this case, you don't have a ton of information. I would still move all of this to text outside of the accordion and just let it be. People will scroll, so don't worry about that. The reason why I was stuck before, though, was that you have ingredients down here. And so I was really confused because in many cases, I see ingredients in this accordion that's condensed, not the rest of the information. I mean, nutritional information might be, but I was surprised to see ingredients out like this, whereas everything else is inside the accordion. So that part confused me. But I would just keep it all outside of the accordion.
It is a little confusing also. In the product description, it says the veggies, peppers, onions, and carrots, all hand cut, blended with original tomato base. And down in ingredients, we have carrots, lentils, kidney beans, garbanzo, red bell pepper, tomatoes, and green bell pepper. I'd love to see more mention of like this true cornucopia of veggies in the product description instead of having it, down the page in the images. Mention it up here. Our Popeyes have, list of ingredients, list of veggies.
Yeah. The interesting thing too was that I didn't even look at this as the description. I don't know if this is
Oh.
actually your description. I scrolled past it. I didn't even think about it because usually I would see the form to add your product to the cart a little higher on the page. And so I just assumed this was a brief summary and not the actual description. But now that I look at it, I realize it was. So I almost skipped it.
Maybe that's a combination of, just as I think on that, like the smaller font size, it does feel more micro texty. And it can be solved by like just bursting it up a little bit and adding an intro that's like, curious what's in our lentil chili pot pie. It's a crowd favorite made with, and then just go into the text there, but just something maybe in bold that says like, metaphorically, this is the description. Read this next. This is what you want to know about.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay, anything else before we move on to a new one?
I just want to say, big picture, I love this. You were doing
Yeah.
so much right here. Your products sounded delicious and looked delicious. Keep it up. Keep doing amazing things. And I'm excited to hear how it goes.
Yeah, I will say, like, clearly we said this in the beginning. We were all drooling over it in the beginning. So your homepage is on point. I would love to see more text actually on the page, but clearly you made me want to look more. So great job. See if I can go to the next one. I'm gonna do Kono store.
Ooh. Ooh.
Hmm. Uh,
Do you know what this is without needing to scroll
I was
down?
just
Do you know
trying
what
to
this?
think, what are we selling here? I'm guessing we're selling keys, not keyboards, but well, maybe keyboards. Now I don't know.
I'm guessing this is a collection of things for people who love mechanical keyboards. So we've got keyboards, we got keycaps, we got desk mats and stuff like that. Oh, Bob Ross desk mats. I love those. But it is confusing on first load. Like there is even just something as simple as a tagline under Kono, like your home for everything mechanical keyboard, or your home
Yeah.
for like the best in mechanical keyboards. I say this without scrolling down and knowing like more about what you sell and your positioning, but something on this initial load that just helps clearly communicate this is what you're here for, this is what we sell, this is how we can help you would be an instant level up.
So
Aside from
I'm
that, oh sorry, you.
I was gonna say I'm guessing that on desktop this is a little bit different in that these the heading and the buttons are actually on top of the image, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why we're missing that kind of information that we would want on mobile.
Yeah, good point. I just toggled back in. You are absolutely correct.
Yeah. Um,
One
Go ahead.
one thing I often run into with, and I'll call this like a more niche store, it's for a very targeted group who are very invested in, call it the lifestyle, call it the products of mechanical keyboards. So they immediately know like the difference between sunrise and sunset switches. They know what a GB is, a group buy. But me, who just has a bunch of friends who love mechanical keyboards, is kind of like, I think this is what it is. And somebody who hasn't had any exposure or might be shopping for a gift might have no context. So I like, especially on the homepage, if it resonates with your customers, define some of these terms, include 50, 100 words of context like, hey, we're Kono. We sell the best in mechanical keyboards and accessories. Here's what you should know about us. Just so it provides that quick little on ramp for somebody who lands here. They can know what you sell.
Yeah, I agree. And we're seeing this pop up right away. The Join Kono Store weekly newsletter. Bland. I I want to dismiss it. I have no desire to click in further. So I think you could definitely do a little bit more of an engaging call to action that's here, but I'm not going to even spend my time because I would just exit out. So I also really love that you have your support at the very top. I don't know
Yes.
that I've seen that on any of the, we probably saw it on some of the other ones that we looked at, but like that email address is super prominent and I know exactly how to get a hold of you if I have questions. So I love that.
Yeah, this is almost the inverse of what I see in most Shopify stores,
Yeah,
or a lot of Shopify stores, where like the support or the email or phone number are buried 16 pages deep. That alone is something to emulate. Like, make it easy for your customers who have questions or issues to get in touch, so they don't start, spamming you on Twitter to try to get in touch.
definitely. I'm looking at these collections as we scroll down a little bit. And the first thing that caught my eye was this in stock in the middle. So does that mean nothing else is in stock?
I think that might be. I think that's a really good question. My mind went to this is kind of just like a universal collection of everything that it has a status of in stock, sort of like an all collection, but only in stock. But yeah, even as I try to describe it, I realize like it's hard to define. It's hard to know
Yeah.
what might be in there.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't really
It,
want to click on it. Yeah.
I might relabel that to like products available now, products shipping today. I don't know the phrasing your customers might use to describe like the outcome they get from knowing something's in stock. But whatever it is, whatever they say, might be a great thing to swap in there just so it's more resonant. And if folks, are like, oh, we always click on the in stock collection, ignore us on this bit of advice. Always go with what your customers actually want and actually say.
There's a question of are they selling keyboards? I think I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't actually know that what we're selling. I don't know what the main goal of this store is yet.
Yeah.
I almost feel like I would only come here if I knew exactly what I was getting, but it's not one that I'd be like, I wonder what Kono has in stock.
Yeah, and I suppose that's a great question for the owner. Is this store, to attract new customers through SEO, or is this store more of sort of a platform for folks who are already engaged with mechanical keyboards or the Kono brand to come and shop? Depending on the answer, your Shopify store kind of goes in different directions. I like veering towards the okay, let's attract new customers so your store becomes part of your growth engine. But if you've made the strategic decision, our store isn't that, our store is this, that's fine. You just will have some trade-offs along the way.
Yeah, and we didn't really talk about why we're looking at homepage and product page only. And that's because those are the two main landing pages that people are going to come to on your site. So, if you're doing ads or if there's a specific product that someone's looking at, that's where they come to on your product page. But maybe someone was like, hey, you should check out Kono. They were a really great option. I bought my keyboard from them. You should check out Kono. Um, it's a different story, right? You're telling a different story. So you have to make sure that you're educating both your new visitors and your current customers on what it is that you're doing. So if you're a new visitor, why do I want to buy from you? What sort of products do you have and what makes you different from me going to Best Buy in this particular case to buy whatever keyboard I want? Um, Maybe that's you have ergonomic, maybe that means that you have gaming keyboards. I don't know, but like what sets you apart differently and why I should buy from you versus I've already bought from you, but I want to see what's new. I want to see
Mhm.
what other products I could add to my collection, if you will, at home. I don't. Oh, we're done. No.
There's not a lot of text content on this homepage, which, from the SEO perspective, I see as a bit of a negative. Your homepage usually gets the majority of the links on your website, and
Yeah.
it's the front door of your metaphorical store here. So, having additional content on the homepage makes it easier for Google to say, oh, this store or this homepage is about X. Let's rank it for that keyword. Or it makes it easier for folks browsing through to say, oh, what's Kono about? Oh, I've learned right here what Kono is about. Let me move forward. Let me make a purchase. Let me add something to my cart. So I definitely think you need, even if it's just sort of like a about our store block with 200, 300 words of content, sort of a mini about us, it would help level up your homepage dramatically.
I think when I look at this store, I think it lacks identity. Like I think if
Yeah.
I had to like define it, I think it lacks identity. I just don't know why I would want to buy from you versus somebody else. So I do want to look at a product, but I just if I was to land on your page, I don't think I would do anything. I wouldn't know where to go. Like there's no like clear direction of where you want me to go to. What does
How
group
about
buy mean?
I think a group buy is like a sort of a production run. So let's get 50 folks together. We do a
Oh,
group buy, we manufacture it and ship it to those 50. And maybe that fund's like, oh, we actually did a 100 run and now we'll sell the additional 50. It's, I think, pretty unique to manufactured stuff like mechanical keyboards or similar.
I see. That makes sense now. I've never heard it that way, so it's interesting. I do see that you call that out on here, but it doesn't jump out at me to be like, hey, like group buys are something that are going to be delayed and that you should be aware of that. So you do have this note in here. It's right underneath the button, but I would wager that you probably have questions that pop up on this quite often. We talked a little bit before about creating tables to help with your SEO. This is what I would do. These bullet points, convert them to a table.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be a nice and super tiny optimization. It's
Yeah.
often something you'd be able to outsource or just like take care of in an afternoon across multiple products.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have any other thoughts? I think generally I feel like it's a little bland for me. I don't there's not a lot calling out to me.
Yeah, I fully agree. It definitely feels, I don't want to just reuse your words, but yeah, bland. It doesn't feel like there's personality. And I think like I'm a huge fan of the book The Brain Audit by Sean DeSouza. In this
Mm-hmm.
book, he unpacks like for any product business or commerce business, what are the 7 things that a customer is looking for to know that they should buy something? A fabulous book that I recommend to everyone here in the chat today. But as I look at these products, I'm like, I don't understand why I should buy this. I don't understand what makes this unique. I don't understand what problem it solves aside from I don't own a GMK Camping R3 desk mat. I should buy one to round out my collection. But I don't understand for like the classic base of the GMK. Nowhere here is it saying like unique, unlike our competitors, unlike that old trash mechanical keyboard. This has a pocket knife attached to it, or it slices, it dices. There's nothing here that explains to me why this is unique and different, and why I might be interested in buying it.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Okay, so I'm going to move on to another one then, if we're good with that.
Absolutely. I'm grabbing a link for the brain audit to drop into the chat.
Oh, thanks. I didn't even see who this was, Chris. I'm glad to see you're here. I actually haven't looked at your site in a long time, so I'm kind of glad to go through this. So I know Chris from I think that past meetups, but I've never really gone through her site to give her feedback. So I'm super stoked for this one. I will say the pop-up right off the bat, it's too early. I don't even know what I would do with this yet.
I love the dating metaphor with pop-ups. Like, we just met. You are asking me my first name, my last name, my email, my birthday. Are you asking to get married? It's a bit too much, too early. Like, I like either scroll triggered pop-ups, so once they get like 75% down the page, or page view triggered. Only show this when they view their third page. The folks that see it are more engaged and are browsing, and you'll get better results.
Yeah, I agree. So at this point, I would not do anything. No, this is for anything, not just for mobile, but any pop-ups in general should be delayed. Don't give me a pop-up too soon. But I would close it. But if you were to give me this later, I might sign up. So it's just a matter of being delayed. I am looking at the bottom of this, which I think this is the first time we've seen it in these pop-ups. And this is how I do it for mine too. We promise to never spam you. And if our emails aren't good for you, you can unsubscribe at any time. Great. Everyone should be doing that. Like, remind people, they know this, remind them they can unsubscribe anytime, but be clear about what expectations they should have. Are you going to send emails daily? Are you going to send emails weekly? Is it going to be every other day or every hour or whatever? But setting expectations of how many emails they can receive, the types of emails they might get, those are all going to be helpful. Okay, close it out. Okay.
This feels like such a silly thing to say, but I feel confused about what they're selling from this above the fold. As I scroll down, it immediately becomes obvious. But I look at this and I'm like, okay, our products, it's black and white. It's that simple. And I'm like, but what? What are you selling? I don't know.
Yeah, so I know a little bit about this, and that there's a purpose behind the store, right? Like there's a message behind it, but it's not clear up front. And if I took away what I know, I don't know enough about why I would keep looking.
I just clicked into, under the spread the good in the menu, the BGTP Foundation, and suddenly all my questions are answered.
Yeah. So let's take a look at it just so y'all can see it. So first of all, this is super hard to read.
Yeah.
I would have either the content, the text itself underneath the image, or if this is on desktop in the same way, using sort of an overlay behind the text, so that way it's like a darker background behind the white. It makes it a little bit easier to read. I think what you're trying to do is you have a line around your white text to make it easier, but it's still pretty hard to read.
Yeah.
So yeah, like you have a good purpose. You're a purpose-driven organization, but I don't see that immediately on the homepage. And I don't even remember if it's farther down. Oh, it's a different page.
It's a different site entirely.
So I didn't notice that on my phone because it doesn't like it just goes to the next page. I thought I was still on the same page. So I was actually ready to go back to the menu and look for something else, and I couldn't figure out how to get back. So when you have two different domains, whether that's a subdomain or a completely different domain, however you do it, try to make them consistent so that I don't feel lost. And that if I know how to get back to where I was, that is really, really important. And it could be that I didn't spend time to look. I don't know. I don't remember, but okay. So the products themselves are not riveting because it's a print on demand, I believe.
Mm.
But I would love to see more who you are on the
Yeah.
homepage and why I should support you on the homepage, not just shopping.
Heck, I take that and turn it a tiny bit. I'd love to see how your customers or how people involved in the nonprofit describe you. Not we are
Yeah.
great because, but the actual people whose lives you affect. They are great because it resonates so much better. It's the best form of social proof, and I think that will address so many of the questions we have here.
Yeah. I think really keep in mind that your foundation site is an arm of your shopping site also. And so they should feel like they just sort of flow together.
I see Chris just shared in the chat there are some
Yeah.
compliance rules around, the nonprofit versus the for-profit. Yeah, it's definitely something to consider. What came to mind when Alana clicked on that foundation nonprofit link was, hey, if this just opened in a new tab, it might solve a lot of the, oh, where am I issues that ended up there without potentially getting to the thorny waters of 501c3 compliance.
Yeah. I think that's a good point is that I don't think I realized that I left. And so that's why I didn't understand it as I was clicking through.
For this as featured in blog, hey, Oprah entrepreneur today. Oh my gosh, I don't know who Vale Daily is, but I assume it's decent. But these are great. Please include like links here to go to the actual, as featured in. Maybe it's a link to YouTube where like, oh, Oprah mentioned you on her show, or a PDF version of the actual article you were mentioned in the magazine. But anything that's able to show folks who click through here, oh, like here's the actual entrepreneur article rather than it just being a logo there. Marketers unfortunately ruined logo blocks like this for everyone. Nothing stops me from being like, oh, I was featured in everything under the sun. But having that link here showing the actual spot you were featured resolves any worry and just communicates the true value your brand has.
Yeah. And I would probably move that up because these are not small brands to be associated with. So I would move them up on the page. That speaks very highly to the work that you're doing. So I would move them up. And I agree, have a link. Make sure I would say the link should stay on your site. Don't have it go someplace else. So if you have
Mm-hmm.
content that you can add to your site that keeps them on yours, I would do that. Sometimes I've seen people where they will write up a summary of whatever the write up was in Oprah, for example, and then that way you have your own content. Other people will take a screenshot of their write up, and at least that way it's still displayed, but then you're not getting as much of the SEO benefits if you don't have your own write up on it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Do you want to look at a product?
Yeah, let's take a look at a product here. How about we click into one of the new arrivals here? Ah, perfect.
Is that what I did? I don't even know what I clicked on.
Yeah. So legacy
So,
performance.
what I would love to see. Oh, I double clicked on it. Sorry, that was my fault. You have these real quote unquote models. I don't know if they're actually really real people or if these are from your provider. But I like that I can see how it fits on her. But
Mm-hmm.
I would also love to see different models of different sizes and different skin colors and different, um, I guess, personalities. There's not enough for who you are and what you represent. There's not enough diversity in this product image itself.
Full agreement from me. What I'll often see on call it modern fashion sites is they'll say like, this model is this tall, weighs this much, and is wearing this size. and you have 2 or 3 models who have different body shapes, different sizes, different skin tones, it truly reflects diversity and just helps folks know, like, oh, I'm more like that body than this body. I should order the medium, not the large.
Yep. I agree. I agree. I like that you have these buttons instead of a drop down. I think that's definitely the way to go. And it's been proven that these buttons convert more. Yeah, so here we have size XS and 4XL, but there's no definition of what that means. And so I'm trying to see if you even have a size chart. You don't. So like, I'm always in that weird space of like, am I a medium or a large? I have no idea. Well, is it a women's fit or a men's fit? And I like, that's how it changes for me. So you might have a women's like zip, but is it a men's fit or a women's fit? And so I would make the assumption that this is a women's fit, but then women's clothing get into this whole other category of how they fit differently for every single person. And so it's really annoying. And I know for a fact that many print on demand providers, none of their sizing makes sense. So have that extra content in there to make it easier for people to understand.
Oh, Chris just clarified they are not print on demand.
Oh, thanks for clarifying that. I just made an assumption. See, I made an assumption and that's what I get.
I made the exact same assumption too, and I'm not sure whether it's just like what struck me as sort of stock images with text added.
I think
but for some
so.
reason that layout just immediately like resonated with a site that's like, okay, this is print demand. Maybe it's a bit more drop shipping, but I don't think it's necessarily a terrible thing. But as you move forward over the coming years, if you work on a redesign, it might be something to ask yourself, how could we address that? But
Yeah.
very much a minor thing.
And I'm also seeing now that you said you have a lot of people of color working on the site. I'm hoping that you're going to include like profiles in all of them so that those people who want to support people of color know that it's not, you're not just somebody who's trying to capitalize on whatever is going on in the world. You're actually doing meaningful changes here. Okay. Any other thoughts on Be Good to People?
I think that's about it. Yeah, good looking site. I love the mission, honestly. Like, I didn't share that, but I love this mission. This is cool.
Yeah. All right, let's try. I think we might be able to do one more. Oops, stop. We're just going to look at calm. That's all we're going to do. All right, we're going to look at Shop Party House. Is that how you say it?
Ooh. Yeah, Shop Party House.
All right. There's a lot happening.
Oh my.
In this top section here. And a video.
My brain is like, what is happening here?
I don't know where to
there's
look.
so much information to take in.
So I think what you're trying to do is to have your free shipping. I don't know why you have thank you for supporting a small business up top and you're featured in. These don't need to happen right here. Free shipping, yes, but maybe not like, I don't know. I would probably put it in your announcement bar.
Yeah. Yeah. So in their announcement bar, way at the top, they have stylish online party supplies and balloons. I think, yeah, just immediately, as soon as you're done with this webinar, dear listener, change that to your free shipping mention and clean up the top of the page, cut the free shipping, cut the thank you, cut the featured in. I want to come back to the featured in because there's something I really like there, but that is not content that we need at the top on this first page load. I am still confused as we like radically yank things out here, but we're going to get it trimmed down.
Yeah, definitely.
If you click on that as featured in for a second, it takes you to an as featured in page. And I don't love the page, but I love this strategy. And I just wanted to call it out, especially in reference to the Be Good to People from a moment before. So they have this ad featured in. They just mention, who it is, what the mention was, and what the brand is. And if you highlight over the links, the Brit & Co., the Caras, the What Moms Love, it's a link to the actual page, the actual piece of content they were mentioned in. Something like this could work incredibly well for that previous site. Set up an as featured in page, just list like we were mentioned in Oprah magazine. Oh my gosh, here's what she said. Here's a link. And that's great. That solves all the issues we had on that previous one. But I really like this ad featured in. I think it's a great way to highlight it.
I will add though, always take a screenshot or like find a way to take a copy of it, because you don't always know that they're going to keep your article or however you were featured up. So it's great if you could link to the actual live site, but if that link ever breaks, you're going to want to be able to reference something. Okay, so I want to comment on this cookie notice at the bottom. It takes up maybe a fifth of my screen. Well,
Yeah.
maybe a little bit more with when I'm first landing on here, but um, it's a lot. And I don't pretend to be a lawyer, so don't quote me on this, please. But I don't think that you have to have this anymore.
Yeah, I'm similarly not a lawyer. I always should say that at the start of every webinar I take part in, but I've heard similar from my marketer friends, especially folks in the EU. There are shifts happening right now. EU legislation, I think, basically said this sort of like accept all cookie thing is not legal. So stuff's going to happen. If you can, yeah, I say turn it off. If somebody complains, maybe turn it back on. But for the amount of space it takes up on the screen, I don't think it's great. Like,
Yeah.
honestly, we've got the top bit, the free shipping, the thank you, the featured in. That feels like a third of the screen. We've got this acceptable, the cookie notice at the bottom. That feels like a third. So we really only have a third of the screen here for what we're trying to look at.
Yeah. And I would say don't delete the policy, like have it in your footer. That's perfectly fine in my limited non lawyer-esque view. But I don't think you need to have this do you accept or not. And those who need to know what your policies are will find them. And if they want you to erase their data or whatever, they will reach out to you. So I would say nix it.
I've
Okay.
watched the video on this page like 4 times now, and I honestly just get more confused each time.
So clearly you sell party supplies. Like I get that part. But why don't you tell us why you're confused, Kai?
It doesn't feel relevant. I mean, we've got coming soon in a world full of trends. Nature will inspire you. It just doesn't feel like it's telling me anything I need to know about the brand, and I just stop watching it with more confusion.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say there's also a lot of movement that's happening. If I just sit here for a second, between that video up on top and then the automatic scrolling in the carousel, there's so much happening that
Yeah.
I want to scroll past it. I don't even want to look at it. Like we're sitting here, but I wouldn't sit here. I also I'm not sure what the I is for.
Oh,
I don't know what that means. Like I would click on the product, but I wouldn't click on the I.
I think it's an icon symbolizing quick view. I just clicked on it and it did the like light box pop up of the product details without changing the page.
So I have feelings about Quick View. Um, let me tell you my feelings about Quick View. So first of all, um, it's helpful if people don't want to actually click on the product. So I see the value in it. It slows down your site tremendously. Um, and oftentimes the quick view is a quick view, so it doesn't show you a ton of information. So I end up having to click on it anyways to learn more. And then I have to uh, add an extra click. So you're trying to like give me a snippet of information, but most of the time that quick view, and I'm going to do it right now, the quick view is literally a product title and price and add to cart. That's all that it is. So there's really no information that's actually added to it.
You just won an award for your
Oh my
cold
gosh,
call
how did I
guesses.
know? Oh, and then look here, this part is the button or the link that you want to click to learn more.
Yeah.
So it actually hurts you a little bit more to have quick view for a lot of reasons than it would be just to let me go to the page.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, full agreement. From the SEO perspective, it makes your collection pages heavier. It adds more image loads. It's not great from the customer experience. Like, I've yet to see a store where my recommendation isn't let's just turn quick view off and pretend it doesn't
Yeah.
exist and never turn it on again. And stuff's always fine. Like, I honestly think it's the worst Shopify feature, and I'll just say that.
No, I agree. It's terrible. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Both as a partner and as a customer who might use it. Um, I wanted to comment, and I do see a question here for Jan that I want to make sure that we address. So I wanted to comment, there's literally no content on this page, none whatsoever. So when we
Yeah.
talked earlier about moving these like 3 items out of here, you could actually create some content on your homepage if you really wanted to keep them. And then you can add more content. You're not worried about the limited space that you have up on the top here. But really, what I would love to see on here instead is more descriptions on your collections, the types of collections I might see, so I don't have to dig into the product itself.
Yeah, full agreement from me. Like, I'll often use the metaphor of SEO as a garden. And what really comes to mind here is you want to put paths in your garden, paths across your website. So when folks land here, they know, oh, I want to head here, I want to head there. And directly to Alana's point, calling out the collections or the most popular collections, giving me a sentence or two about what's in them. It'll just make it so much easier for somebody that lands here on mobile to know, oh, I want, I want to go to your child party themes. Let me click there. But right now, we haven't even seen that because the menu's hidden and it's not included in the page content. So yeah, please include more content on the homepage. It'll
Yeah.
help.
So I'm gonna click on a product, but it's because I actually want to address Jan's question. I have no idea if this one even has reviews, but the placement of reviews does matter. And even if you don't have reviews, I would still display those empty stars and the option to add a review. It's just maybe you might push the option to add a review farther down the page. But it should be, if I'm looking at this product page right here, let's pretend we're actually on a desktop, but this works too. I would say right around the price, right around here, some places where you should have your reviews, so that it's super clear that that it's for this product that we're looking at and not something else.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with collections. If you're looking at the collection page, I would like, if I come back here for a second, let's pretend this is the collection page that we're looking at instead. And if you have reviews, add those stars to the collection page as well. I think that's really helpful for folks to know that there's people who've actually bought it and that they've used it and they have opinions on it. Even if your review sucks, still do it, because people want to see honest opinions, good or bad. So review stars can be here, and then right by the price. And then what I would do is many review apps will do this, where if you click on those stars, it'll link you to wherever the reviews are at. So I'm going to scroll down, and I would say it could go either above related products or below
Mm-hmm.
related products for your actual review contents itself. I would say the placement might depend on what your purpose is. Do you want people to look at more products? Maybe you don't have a ton of products, or maybe you don't really care if they buy more than one item. That might change where you place it. Do you have any thoughts on it, Kai?
The one thing I'll add is like, I agree with the placement of like the review widgets and getting the stars on the page. The one thing we didn't touch on is you could honestly include a little customer testimonial or a 1 or 2 sentence review in the product description, especially if it's a newer product. Announcing our red marble orbs balloon, give a sentence or two of description. And then, like, if a customer's like, oh my God, it's the best balloon ever, it made my birthday party fantastic, include that in the description. I'm reading down, I'm like, oh, kind words from a customer. All that does will help me feel more confident in this product and in making a purchase, just like the customer review blocker seeing, like, a healthy 4.8 stars on the product itself.
Yeah, I think to get reviews early on, one of the best things that you could do is, sadly enough, is give product away. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let people try it first, ask them to give you some real feedback. If cost is a factor and you can't do that, have your family try it out. I would assume you have like products that you yourself have in your house that people can try and test and play with, and whatever that means, because everyone has different products. But even if you can't give it away to someone new, I would definitely like have maybe a family member give some feedback on it and give a testimonial if they can't actually leave a review. We don't want to leave dishonest reviews, but a testimonial is a little bit different in that Google isn't going to use that as part of your rich results, which is the review stars at the bottom or on your search results. So we don't want to mislead reviews, but we do want to make sure that we're giving as much information as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, full agreement from me. It's a delicate needle to thread, and you honestly have sort of multiple objections or multiple objectives there. And I like personally a little bit of like a text testimonial and then a healthy amount of true customer reviews. just so we're straddling the difference. We're covering both bases.
Yeah. Uh, we have just another minute here, Jan, but I wanted to respond to that Judge Me question. So, um, with Judge Me is now compatible with Online Store 2.0, which is a whole nother topic that we'll have to talk about one of these days. But now you're able to place their widgets in different spots. So if you are struggling with where to place it, you could always ask them. They should be able to help you on where it's actually placed. But really, all you're doing, it's just a little snippet of code that you can literally copy and paste and move around. So it should be fine. Okay, so I think that's probably it. I don't know if there's any other questions that folks have, but if you do, I'm going to try to share our contact information with you guys really quickly. See if I can find it again. All right. This is why I didn't want to go back and forth between different my phone and desktop. So hopefully you guys can see that now. But if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. This is being recorded, so I do plan to share it with everyone over the next day or so. And it will be available on YouTube, assuming everything records correctly. We should be good, but you never know with Soup these days. So I wanted to say thank you all for joining. I know that there was a ton of sites that we didn't get to. Both Kai and I offer services around website reviews, but hopefully you can take a lot of this information and apply it to your own store, so that way you'll be able to do something with it. So thank you, Kai, for joining us. I appreciate it. And I hope everyone has a lovely afternoon.
It was a pleasure. Thank you all. And yeah, great success in your marketing.